Today we're going to discuss pulling a permit for your DIY project, or whether you even need to pull one at all. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Derdorf and this is Detroit DIY. If you're making structural changes to your home, you're putting on an addition, you're doing plumbing or electrical work, you probably need a permit. And in some aspects a permit is good because you're going to have inspectors coming in your home to make sure that the work is correct, especially if you have questions. Most inspectors are forthgoing with information to help you get everything accomplished the way that it should be. And if you don't know the exact codes, that's always good. And sometimes codes vary from city to city or county to county that are different from the actual state codes. So it's important to have that information, and that can come to you from those inspectors. 99% of them are very good to deal with. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the zoning. You need to make sure before you have drawings made or make your own drawings for anything that you want to change is that it's actually allowed in the zoning. And what I mean by that is some areas will allow you to put a certain percentage of buildings on the percentage of your land property or your land area. Per se 40% and 60% of the property has to be free. Other areas have different zoning in place. So like here, what I did was I Googled the building department for this area. I found that they had a building application online. I printed that, and then I called them up and asked them some questions. I asked them if there was any zoning, who I needed to talk to about the zoning, and they gave me the gentleman's phone number. So I called him up and I made an appointment with him. He came over. We looked over the scope of the project. I did not have any drawings at that point in time because I didn't deem that necessary if I was outside of what zoning wanted. So I gave him the idea of what I wanted, and he said so far it looks like everything's okay. So at that point in time, I went ahead and did my drawings. So what we're going to talk about first here is the actual building permit. So this is what I got offline, and it's from the county right here. And it asks you some various questions, all pretty simple. The address of where you're going to be doing the work. It's going to ask you if it's 500 feet from water, and it is. It's going to ask you who the contractor is. That's where you would put yourself if you're doing it DIY. The architect, yourself. The type of construction is going to be a deck, so on and so forth. Now here's the one thing that I can warn you about, and that is I would strongly advise you against not pulling a permit as a DIYer and have someone else do the work, because you remove all the liability from them and you put it all on you. So if something isn't done correctly, then it's kind of on you. Which is unfortunate, especially if they walk away because they made some mistakes and it's going to be too costly for them to come back and correct. So it's ill-advised to pull a permit for someone else to do work on your home. If they're licensed, let them do that, and then that puts the responsibility directly on them. So then the next thing that I did was I drew up a plot plan. And in the plot plan, it just shows the size of the property, the existing structures, which is the existing house, the existing sheds, and then the proposed deck, the distance of that deck from the water. The zoning says that I have to be 40 feet from the water, and when I'm finished, I'll actually still be 51 feet away from the water. And of course the width of the property and how far I am off of the property lines. I'm doing this outside because it's a beautiful day, so the wind's messing me up a little bit. But this is the general plot plan to show the length and the width of the property, how far off you are the property lines with your structures, and what you're proposing to do. And that's really all there is to that. That is not drawn to any scale, and it doesn't need to be. There's no requirement that says any of these drawings have to be to scale. Some of them I did partially do in scale, but footings and stuff like that I did not. So the next drawing that I did, and these will all have to be turned in to get the building permit, because it's going to show them how you are going to construct it and that it's safe for people to get on it. So the next drawing I did was the actual bones, or the main framework of the deck. And in that, I also showed them how the walkway was going to attach to my front porch. I have a tree right here that it has to go around. I also show them here that I'm going to use a 2x10 ledger board fastened to the house. I'm going to use 2x10 joists at 12 inches apart. So if you Google and you're not sure, you can go Google different size timbers, such as 2x10s, 2x12s, and you can get their span, what they recommend for their span, and that is pretty much a national code. It's not a state code. So in order for me to use a 2x10, I had to go 12 inches on center to span that to 16 feet. Also keep in mind that wet weather timbers is a different span than dry timbers. So if this is a home construction, you can actually span a 2x10 further in a dry condition than you can in a wet condition. So keep that in mind if you're doing something like a deck or a proposed outdoor project. Also in this drawing, I'm showing them where the stairs are going to be located, and I'm showing them the 6x6 posts that are going to support the deck and where they're located. I've also told them I'm going to put a 2x10 bridging between these 2x10 floor joists to stabilize them, keep them from trying to tilt one side to the other as the construction goes on. And I'll put them in the center between each one of these floor joists. So that's basically all this is showing. So the tree that I have to deal with kind of changes the walkway. I wanted to run the walkway along the side of the house, but there's really just not enough room between the tree and the house. So I'm going to have to go out and around the tree. No big deal. In the next drawing that I have for them is going to show more detail. So per se, it's going to show that tree, and then it's going to show the 4x4 posts that are going to support the walkway coming from the front porch to the deck, this being the front porch. It's going to show my railing height at 36 inches. It's going to show my pier support dimensions and depth, which is 42 inches. And then it's going to show that I'm going to use a Simpson post base. I'm also going to use a 10-inch concrete sleeve. However, I might change that to an 8-inch, because with your concrete piers need to be twice the size of the timber that is sitting on it. That's pretty much going to be typical anywhere you go. So if you're putting a 4x4, you're going to need an 8-inch concrete pier. If you're putting a 6x6, you're going to need a 12-inch concrete pier. I was thinking about using 10s here, but I may drop that down to an 8. It's more than adequate for what we want to do. So it shows the post base and all the post locations. Now this drawing is partially to scale, but the concrete piers are not drawn to scale. Everything else is, and this is a 1/4 inch equals 1 foot scale on this drawing. Also on this drawing here, I show that I'm going to use joist hangers on each end of these joists, off of the ledger board and off of the back side, where the ledger board is going to be here. It also shows that I'm going to inset the 6x6s so that the 2x10s sit on the edge of them and aren't just nailed to them. They'll be cut out where they'll actually sit in, and the joist will be supported by the 6x6 on that ledge. So on this drawing we also show that the 2x10 ledger board will be attached to the house with 16 penny 3.5 inch galvanized nails and 3/8 inch lag bolts. We also show here that the railing will be 36 inches and that we'll have spindles between the rails every 6 inches on center. So it goes on to tell about, you know, the post sizes and so on and so forth, which I've done in the other drawing. But this gives them enough detail to know that the 42 inches footing depth is code. The 6x6s are a little bit overkill, and the reason that I'm doing that is because I may one day want to actually put a roof over the top of this deck. So I want to make sure that my footings and my posts are up to par for doing that one day. So then the last drawing that I have for them is the stair detail. If you've pulled a permit recently, please leave your comments in the spot available for public comment, and what you experienced, and was it difficult or was it easy, and how were the inspectors to deal with. Also, if you have any questions about pulling a permit for your DIY project, please leave them in the comments below also. That would be greatly appreciated, and I'll get you an answer to the best of my ability, at least for this area. And a lot of these, like I say, are national type regulations. It's not just a state regulation here. So then, and also give us a like and a subscribe. That'd be really great too. So here's the last detail, and this is the stairs. Now, on here I've got the angle of the stairs, I've got the length of the run, and I've got the height of the rise, and I've got the total run. So the height of the railing, again, spindles 6 inches on center, 4x4 posts supporting them, 42 inch 8 inch pier, and then a 42 inch landing for the stairs to sit on. I've also got the Simpson stair stringer hangers here. I'm also telling them that there's going to be 3 stringers wide, so 1 stringer in the center, 1 on each outside and 1 down the center. Now, if you don't know exactly the angle that your stair stringer is going to be, the run and the rise, there are stipulations for that, but you can buy a standard stair stringer at Home Depot. And I'll tell you a little secret. What you do is it's cheaper. You go get you some 2x12s that you know are the right length, and then you go over to where the stair stringers are and you grab one and you lay it on your 2x12, pull your pin out or your pencil, and trace it onto your own 2x12. Then when you get it back to your project, all you have to do is cut it out, and voila, you've saved yourself a few bucks and you've got your stair stringer. The pattern's right there at Home Depot, and nobody's going to stop you from grabbing a stair stringer, laying it down on your own board that you're going to purchase there and tracing the pattern onto it. It's a great idea. A buddy showed me that a few years back, and I never even thought about doing it. Save yourself 60, 70 bucks in doing that. So keep that in mind. If you do decide to do that, you can just write here that you're going to use a standard stair stringer from Home Depot or whatever. You still want to tell them that you're going to attach them with hangers, stringer hangers, and you're still going to want to tell them your railing height and all that, and your pier depth and all that good stuff. But you don't have to go into all that detail. So it's about as easy as that. And then what I did for myself, and I hope you can see this, is I made just a larger version of the walkway that's going to go around the tree, so that it's just a little bit easier when it comes time for me to lay everything out. I will more go to this drawing. But that's all I got for pulling the permit. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd like to give Tony Iaconelli and Brett Wimmer a special thanks because none of this could happen without them. If you enjoyed yourself, click on one of these two videos right here and watch some more. Thank you.